What if I told you that the guy who started selling books from his garage now controls what you buy, what you watch, what you read, and literally owns the servers that run Netflix, Spotify, and half the internet? And he did it by losing money for 20 years on purpose. Watch till the end, because what Amazon became is absolutely terrifying. Remember when Amazon just sold books? When it was this quirky website where you could buy books cheaper than the bookstore? Those days are dead. What started as one man's idea to sell books online turned into the most powerful retail company in human history. We're talking about a company that ships 1.6 million packages every single day. A company that knows what you buy, what you search for, what you watch, what music you listen to, and what's inside your house if you have an Alexa. A company so powerful that when they decide to enter a new industry, the stock prices of every competitor immediately crash. Jeff Bezos went from packing books in his garage to becoming the richest person on Earth. And he did it by playing a completely different game than everyone else. While other companies focused on making profits, Amazon intentionally lost money for 2 decades. While others protected their existing business, Amazon constantly destroyed their own products to build new ones. While others played it safe, Amazon took massive risks that seemed insane at the time. This is the story of how a bookstore became an empire. How Amazon went from selling books to selling everything to literally owning the infrastructure of the internet itself. We're talking about cloud computing, streaming video, smart speakers, grocery stores, pharmacies, and soon maybe healthcare and banking. Amazon isn't just a company anymore. It's a glimpse into a future where one corporation controls huge portions of how we live, shop, and interact with technology. Today, you're getting the complete story of Amazon's rise. From a Wall Street analyst's crazy idea to a $1 trillion empire that's reshaping the world. And trust me, the story of how Jeff Bezos built this is way more intense and controversial than you think. Let us go back to 1994. Jeff Bezos was working on Wall Street at a hedge fund called D.E. Shaw. He was a vice president making great money. Smart guy. Princeton graduate, but Jeff was restless. He'd read a statistic that the internet was growing at 2,300% per year. This was insane growth. Jeff became obsessed with the idea that the internet would change everything about how people shopped. He wanted to start an internet company but didn't know what to sell. Jeff made a list of 20 products he could potentially sell online. He analyzed each one based on factors like shipping costs, variety of selection, and whether customers would want to buy it without seeing it first. Books made the most sense. Books shipped easily. There were millions of titles in print, way more than any physical bookstore could stock. And people already bought books without examining them first, based on reviews and recommendations. Books were perfect, but there was one problem. Jeff had a great job making lots of money. Starting a company meant giving up financial security. He was married, and his wife Mackenzie was supportive, but leaving a lucrative career for an uncertain startup was scary. Jeff used what he called the regret minimization framework. He imagined himself at age 80 looking back on his life. Would he regret leaving Wall Street? Probably not. Would he regret not trying to start an internet company during the internet boom? Definitely yes. So in 1994, Jeff quit his job. Jeff and Mackenzie drove from New York to Seattle while Jeff wrote the business plan in the car. Mackenzie drove. Jeff typed on a laptop. They chose Seattle because it had a large pool of tech talent, and it was close to a major book distributor in Oregon. Also, Washington had a small population, which meant Amazon wouldn't have to collect sales tax in many states. This tax advantage would be crucial for competing with physical bookstores. Jeff raised about $1 million from family and friends. His parents invested $300,000, which was basically their entire life savings. Jeff told them there was a 70% chance they'd lose everything. They invested anyway because they believed in their son, not the business. Jeff set up operations in his garage in Bellevue, Washington. He bought doors from Home Depot and turned them into desks by adding legs. This saved money and created the door desk that became an Amazon symbol of frugality. Amazon.com launched in July 1995. The name Amazon was chosen because it started with which would appear early in alphabetical listings. Also, the Amazon River is the largest river in the world, and Jeff wanted his store to be the largest bookstore in the world. The website was basic, but functional. You could search for books, read reviews, and order online. Amazon would buy books from distributors and ship them to customers. The first book sold on Amazon was Fluid Concepts and Creative Analogies, Computer Models of the Fundamental Mechanisms of Thought, by Douglas Hofstadter. Very fitting for a tech startup. Within the first month, Amazon had sales in all 50 states and 45 countries. People loved being able to search millions of books and order from home. Word spread through early internet communities. By September 1995, Amazon was making $20,000 per week in sales. But making sales didn't mean making profit. Amazon was burning through money. They had to buy books, ship them, build the website, and hire employees. The costs were enormous. Jeff didn't care. His strategy from day one was growth over profit. He wanted to become huge before competitors could catch up. This meant spending aggressively on marketing, technology, and expansion. Amazon lost money every quarter, but sales grew exponentially. This would become Amazon's defining strategy for the next 20 years. Traditional businesses didn't understand what Amazon was doing. You're supposed to make profit. That's the point of a business. Amazon was doing the opposite. They were deliberately losing money to grow faster. Wall Street analysts criticized Amazon constantly. They called it a house of cards that would collapse. They said Amazon's business model was unsustainable. Jeff ignored them. He had a long-term vision that required short-term losses. In 1997, Amazon went public. The IPO raised $54 million and valued Amazon at $438 million. Jeff owned 42% of the company, making him worth about $180 million on paper. Not bad for a 3-year-old company that had never made a profit. In the IPO letter to shareholders, Jeff laid out his philosophy. He said Amazon would focus on long-term value, not short-term profits. He said they'd make bold investment decisions that might not pay off for years. He warned that Amazon would be volatile and unconventional. This letter is famous because Jeff basically told investors exactly what he was going to do. And then he did it for the next 25 years. Amazon started expanding beyond books almost immediately. In 1998, they added music, CDs, and DVDs. Then toys, then electronics, then basically everything. The vision was always to be the everything store. Books were just the beginning. Each new category required massive investment. Amazon had to learn how to sell and ship these products. They had to negotiate with suppliers. They had to build customer trust in new categories. It was expensive and difficult. Amazon kept losing money, but kept growing. The late 1990s were the dot-com boom. Internet companies with no revenue were being valued at billions. Amazon's stock price soared. By 1999, Jeff Bezos was worth billions, and Amazon was valued at over $30 billion. Jeff was on the cover of Time magazine as Person of the Year. Amazon was the poster child for internet commerce. Everything was going great, until it wasn't. In 2000, the dot-com bubble burst. Hundreds of internet companies went bankrupt. Investors realized most internet businesses had no path to profitability. Amazon's stock crashed from $106 to $6 per share. The company that had been worth $30 billion was now worth less than $2 billion. Analysts said Amazon would be the next dot-com failure. Bankruptcy seemed possible. This was Amazon's near-death experience. Jeff didn't panic. He believed in the long-term vision. Amazon cut costs where they could, but kept investing in growth. They negotiated better terms with suppliers. They improved their distribution systems. They focused obsessively on customer experience. Jeff's philosophy was simple. If you make customers happy, they'll come back. If they come back, the business will eventually work. This customer-first mentality became core to Amazon's culture. Amazon survived the dot-com crash because they had real revenue and were getting close to profitability. In 2001, they finally had a profitable quarter. Fourth quarter 2001, Amazon made $5 million in profit on $1 billion in sales. It wasn't much, but it proved Amazon could be profitable. The company that everyone said would fail was actually going to make it. The stock price started recovering. Amazon had survived the first major test. Jeff realized Amazon needed more than just retail to become truly dominant. In the early 2000s, Amazon had built massive infrastructure to run their website and handle their operations. Servers, databases, storage, and computing power. They'd become really good at managing this infrastructure. Jeff had an insight. What if we rent this infrastructure to other companies? What if Amazon becomes the utility that powers other people's websites and apps? This idea became Amazon Web Services, or ABOZ, launched in 2006. Oz let companies rent computing power and storage from Amazon instead of building their own data centers. This was revolutionary. Startups could now launch websites and apps without buying expensive servers. They could scale up or down based on demand. They only paid for what they used. AWS democratized access to computing power. It also created a massive new business for Amazon. AWS lost money for years. Jeff invested billions building data centers around the world. Analysts again said Amazon was wasting money on a distraction from their core retail business. Jeff again ignored them. He saw that cloud computing would be enormous. He was right. Today, AWS is Amazon's most profitable business. It generates over $80 billion in annual revenue with profit margins around 30%. AWS runs Netflix, Spotify, Airbnb, and thousands of other services. It's the infrastructure layer of the modern internet, and Amazon owns it. While building AWS's, Amazon was also revolutionizing retail. In 2005, Amazon launched Prime. For $79 per year, you got free 2-day shipping on most items. This seemed insane. Shipping was expensive. Offering unlimited free shipping would cost Amazon millions. But Jeff understood the psychology. Once people paid for Prime, they'd shop on Amazon for everything to get their money's worth. Prime would create habitual customers who almost never shopped anywhere else. Prime worked better than anyone expected. Millions of people signed up. Prime members spent way more than non-Prime members. They shopped on Amazon first for almost everything. Prime created the lock-in effect Jeff wanted, but Prime also lost money initially. Shipping costs were higher than the membership fees. Amazon absorbed the losses to build the customer base. This was the Amazon pattern. Lose money on something that will eventually create competitive advantage. In 2007, Amazon released the Kindle. This was a digital book reader with an e-ink screen that looked like paper. You could buy and download books wirelessly. The Kindle seemed crazy. Amazon was a bookstore. Why would they create a device that let people read books without buying physical books? Wasn't Amazon destroying their own business? Yes, intentionally. Jeff called it self-disruption. If someone was going to kill the physical book business, it should be Amazon. Better to disrupt yourself than let someone else do it. The Kindle was sold out in 5.5 hours. People loved it. Amazon started selling more ebooks than physical books. Publishers hated that Amazon was controlling digital book distribution, but they couldn't stop it. The Kindle did to books what the iPod did to music. It made physical media obsolete, and Amazon controlled the platform. Every book sold on Kindle gave Amazon data on what people read, how fast they read, and what passages they highlighted. This data was incredibly valuable. Amazon's expansion accelerated through the 2010s. They launched Amazon Fresh for grocery delivery. They bought Whole Foods for $13.7 billion, instantly becoming a major grocery retailer. They launched Amazon Studios to produce movies and TV shows. Prime Video became a competitor to Netflix. They created the Echo smart speaker with Alexa voice assistant. Alexa became the hub of smart homes, controlling lights, thermostats, and other devices. Amazon wasn't just a store anymore. They were in entertainment, hardware, groceries, and artificial intelligence. Each expansion followed the same pattern. Enter a market. Lose money to gain market share. Use scale to undercut competitors. Wait for competitors to go bankrupt or give up, then dominate the market. This strategy worked because Amazon had essentially unlimited capital. Jeff had trained investors to accept losses in exchange for growth. As long as revenue kept growing, Wall Street didn't care about profits. This gave Amazon a huge advantage over competitors who needed to show profits. The impact on retail was devastating. Thousands of stores closed. Toys R Us went bankrupt and blamed Amazon. Circuit City collapsed. Borders Bookstore shut down. Sears declined. JCPenney struggled. Amazon was accused of destroying Main Street and killing small businesses. The criticism was valid. Amazon's scale and efficiency made it nearly impossible for small retailers to compete. Why shop at a local store when Amazon had lower prices, better selection, and faster delivery? Amazon's treatment of workers became increasingly controversial. Warehouse workers, called associates, faced brutal working conditions. They walked 10 to 15 miles per day, picking items. They were tracked constantly by handheld scanners that measured their productivity. If they didn't meet targets, they were fired. Workers reported peeing in bottles because bathroom breaks hurt their metrics. Ambulances were called to warehouses for workers who collapsed from heat and exhaustion. This was not the utopian workplace Amazon claimed to be. Amazon fought unionization efforts aggressively. When workers tried to organize unions, Amazon hired consultants to discourage them. They held mandatory meetings, explaining why unions were bad. They surveilled workers who showed pro-union sympathies. In 2021, workers at an Amazon warehouse in Alabama tried to unionize. Amazon spent millions fighting it. The union vote failed. Amazon's anti-union stance contradicted their public image as a progressive company that cared about workers. Delivery drivers faced similar problems. Many Amazon delivery drivers weren't Amazon employees. They worked for third-party contractors. This meant Amazon avoided responsibility for their working conditions. Drivers reported being forced to skip meals and bathroom breaks to meet delivery quotas. They urinated in bottles in their vans. They drove dangerously fast to stay on schedule. Some died in accidents. Amazon's drive for faster delivery came at a human cost that the company consistently downplayed. The power Amazon gained over suppliers was enormous. If you wanted to sell products online, you needed to be on Amazon. But Amazon's terms were brutal. They took 15% commission or more. They demanded price parity, meaning you couldn't sell cheaper anywhere else. They collected data on what products sold well, and then created their own competing products, undercutting your prices. Thousands of businesses were dependent on Amazon, but also being slowly destroyed by Amazon. The Amazon effect on product design and quality was real. Products became optimized for Amazon's search algorithm instead of actual quality. Sellers gamed the system with fake reviews. They used black hat techniques to boost rankings. Counterfeit products flooded the marketplace. Amazon's verification was inadequate. Customers couldn't trust that products were authentic. The platform that started with customer obsession had become filled with scams and junk. Amazon's use of data raised serious privacy concerns. They knew everything about your shopping habits, what you bought, what you searched for, what you looked at but didn't buy. If you had Alexa, they had recordings of conversations in your home. If you had a Ring doorbell, they had video of everyone who came to your house. Amazon had more data on American consumers than almost any company except Google and Facebook. What they did with this data wasn't always clear. Law enforcement partnerships were particularly troubling. Amazon gave police departments access to Ring doorbell footage. They created a partnership program where police could request footage from Ring users. Civil liberties groups said this turned Amazon customers into unwitting participants in mass surveillance. Amazon's doorbell cameras were helping build a surveillance network across America. The company that sold you convenience products was also helping police track your movements. Amazon's relationship with third-party sellers was predatory. The company operated the marketplace where sellers competed, but Amazon also competed directly with those sellers using data from the marketplace. If Amazon saw a product selling well, they'd create their own version and promote it. This was like being a referee and a player in the same game. It was fundamentally unfair. Regulators started investigating whether this violated antitrust laws. The Amazon Basics brand exemplified this strategy. Amazon tracked what products sold well in various categories. Then they created Amazon Basics versions at lower prices. Batteries, cables, kitchenware, furniture. Amazon Basics undercut existing brands using data they collected from their own marketplace. This destroyed companies that had spent years building brands and customer bases. Amazon could swoop in with a knockoff and dominate through superior placement and pricing. Jeff Bezos' personal wealth became obscene. By 2018, he was worth over $150 billion, the richest person in modern history. His wealth grew by tens of billions per year as Amazon's stock price soared. Meanwhile, Amazon paid minimal taxes and warehouse workers relied on food stamps. The contrast was stark. Jeff bought the Washington Post newspaper. He started Blue Origin, a space company, competing with SpaceX. He bought mansions and lived like modern royalty. The wealth inequality was staggering. In 2019, Jeff and Mackenzie divorced after 25 years of marriage. Mackenzie received 25% of Jeff's Amazon stock, making her worth about $35 billion. She became one of the world's richest women. Jeff kept 75% and remained CEO. The divorce was the most expensive in history, but barely affected Jeff's control of Amazon. He still had voting control and continued running the company as he always had. Amazon's expansion into healthcare was ambitious and threatening to existing players. They bought PillPack, an online pharmacy, for $750 million. They launched Amazon Pharmacy, letting people order prescriptions online. They partnered with Berkshire Hathaway and JP Morgan to create Haven Healthcare for their employees. The healthcare industry panicked. If Amazon disrupted healthcare the way they disrupted retail, the entire industry would be a pen. So far, Amazon's healthcare efforts have struggled. Healthcare is more regulated and complex than retail. But Amazon keeps trying. The coronavirus pandemic in 2020 was perfect for Amazon. With stores closed and people stuck at home, online shopping exploded. Amazon hired 400,000 new workers to keep up with demand. Revenue grew by 38% in 2020. Jeff's wealth increased by $75 billion in 1 year. Meanwhile, warehouse workers risked their lives during the pandemic, while Amazon initially didn't provide adequate protective equipment or hazard pay. Workers protested. Some died from COVID-19. Amazon's profits soared while workers suffered. In 2021, Jeff stepped down as CEO. He remained executive chairman but handed daily operations to Andy Jassy, the former head of OS. Jeff wanted to focus on other projects like Blue Origin and his climate initiatives. He'd run Amazon for 27 years and built it into one of the most powerful companies in history. His legacy was complete. Under Andy Jassy, Amazon continued expanding into new markets and facing increasing regulatory scrutiny. Antitrust investigations intensified in the early 2020s. The Federal Trade Commission, European Union, and other regulators examined whether Amazon abused its market power. They looked at how Amazon treated third-party sellers, how they used data, how they structured their marketplace. Potential remedies included breaking up Amazon, forcing them to divest AWS or Prime, or imposing strict rules about how they operate. Amazon fought these efforts, claiming they faced intense competition and that customers benefited from their size and efficiency. The argument over whether Amazon was good or bad for society became central to debates about capitalism and technology. Defenders pointed to low prices, vast selection, convenience, and innovation. Critics pointed to destroyed businesses, exploited workers, market manipulation, and concentration of power. Both sides had valid points. Amazon made shopping easier and cheaper. They also destroyed communities, eliminated jobs, and built unprecedented corporate power. The truth was complex and uncomfortable. Amazon's environmental impact was massive and growing. The company shipped billions of packages annually, generating enormous carbon emissions. They used tons of cardboard and plastic packaging. Their data centers consumed vast amounts of energy. In 2019, Amazon announced a climate pledge to reach net zero carbon by 2040. They ordered 100,000 electric delivery vans. They invested in renewable energy. But critics noted these efforts were small compared to Amazon's overall environmental footprint. The more Amazon grew, the worse the environmental impact became. The culture inside Amazon was notoriously harsh. The New York Times published an expose in Arling Yiwu, describing a brutal workplace where employees cried at their desks and were pushed to extreme limits. Amazon used a ranking system that forced managers to identify and fire bottom performers. The pressure was intense. People worked 80-hour weeks. They sent emails after midnight and on weekends. Taking time off for health or family issues was career suicide. This was Amazon's high-performance culture. It produced results, but destroyed people. Jeff's management philosophy was based on what he called day one thinking. Day one was the mentality of a startup: hungry, urgent, innovative. Day two was when companies became complacent and started declining. Jeff insisted Amazon always remain in day one mode. This meant constantly reinventing, always acting like your survival was at stake, never settling for the status quo. This mentality drove Amazon's success, but also created the brutal culture that burned out employees. Amazon's leadership principles became famous in tech. Things like customer obsession, bias for action, frugality, and disagree and commit. These principles were supposed to guide decision-making and create alignment. Employees internalized them. They quoted them in meetings. They used them to justify decisions. But critics noted the principles were also used to justify overwork and unreasonable demands. Bias for action meant work faster even if you're already exhausted. The principles served Amazon's interests more than employees' well-being. The advertising business became Amazon's next major profit center. Amazon had massive data on customer behavior. They knew what people searched for and what they bought. This made Amazon's advertising incredibly effective. Brands paid Amazon to promote their products in search results and on product pages. By 2023, Amazon's advertising business generated over $40 billion annually. This made Amazon the third largest digital advertiser after Google and Facebook. Amazon was monetizing their marketplace in every possible way. The private label strategy expanded aggressively. Amazon created dozens of private brands beyond Amazon Basics. Good Threads for clothing, Stone and Beam for furniture, Happy Belly for food, Amazon Elements for baby products. These brands used data from the marketplace to identify opportunities. If organic coffee was selling well, Amazon launched their own organic coffee brand. The unfair advantage was obvious and damaging to independent brands. International expansion faced challenges. Amazon struggled in China, eventually retreating from the market after being beaten by Alibaba and JD.com. They had more success in India, becoming one of the largest e-commerce platforms there. They dominated in Europe and were growing in Latin America and the Middle East. But international markets were different from America. Local competitors understood their markets better. Amazon couldn't just replicate their US strategy everywhere. They had to adapt, which was difficult for a company built on standardization and scale. The acquisition of MGM Studios for $8.5 billion in 2022 showed Amazon's ambitions in entertainment. They now owned James Bond, Rocky, and thousands of other films and TV shows. Prime Video was competing seriously with Netflix and Disney+. Amazon was producing award-winning content. They'd become a major Hollywood studio. The vertical integration was complete. Amazon controlled retail, logistics, cloud computing, hardware, advertising, and entertainment. Few companies in history had been this diversified and powerful. Amazon's impact on society is still being calculated. They made shopping more convenient, but destroyed local businesses. They created hundreds of thousands of jobs, but many were low-wage with poor conditions. They innovated constantly, but accumulated dangerous levels of power. They lowered prices, but hurt workers and suppliers. The effects were contradictory and complex. Amazon represented both the best and worst of modern capitalism. The question of whether Amazon should be broken up became mainstream. Politicians like Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders called for antitrust action. They argued no company should control this much of the economy. Amazon's defense was that they faced competition in every market, and the customers clearly loved their service. If Amazon was so bad, why did hundreds of millions of people use it? The debate continues without resolution. Looking at where Amazon is today in 2024, the empire is secure but facing challenges. Revenue exceeds $500 billion annually. AWS alone would be one of the world's largest tech companies. Amazon employs over 1.5 million people globally. They've achieved a scale that seemed impossible when Jeff was packing books in his garage. But that scale brings scrutiny, regulation, and social responsibility that Amazon struggles to manage. The company optimized for growth at all costs. Now they're learning that costs eventually come due. The story of Amazon is the story of American capitalism in the 21st century. One person's vision executed with ruthless efficiency, short-term losses for long-term dominance. Customer obsession paired with worker exploitation. Incredible innovation alongside market manipulation and power concentration. Jeff Bezos saw the future before anyone else. He understood that the internet would change commerce forever. He built Amazon to be the company that dominated that future. And he succeeded beyond almost anyone's imagination. Amazon went from selling books in a garage to controlling vast portions of retail, entertainment, cloud computing, advertising, and logistics. They're in your home with Alexa. They're at your door with Ring. They're in your shopping cart, your streaming queue, and your medicine cabinet. Amazon isn't just a company you use. It's infrastructure that modern life increasingly depends on. The cloud that runs half the internet, the warehouse that stocks everything you need, the algorithm that decides what you see. But Jeff Bezos built this empire by being willing to lose money longer than anyone else, by being more aggressive, more ambitious, and more ruthless than competitors, by obsessing over the long term while everyone else worried about the next quarter. He won by playing a different game entirely. Whether that's good for society is a question we're still trying to answer. Amazon made our lives more convenient, but they also concentrated unprecedented corporate power. They helped customers but hurt workers and competitors. They innovated brilliantly but destroyed thoughtlessly. Amazon is both the best and worst of what capitalism can create. An engine of efficiency and innovation, and a monster that can't be controlled. The bookstore became an empire, and now we're all living in Amazon's world, whether we like it or not. Do you want to miss the next video where we expose how